it's just it's so unbelievable to be still like doing largely the same stuff, man. Like still
Clean and
getting away
sober?
with-
Still clean? How long?
11 years.
My
Yeah,
guy,
look at this
my
guy.
dude.
Like, because I see it like when I look at you, I'm like, man, is this like it's a new chapter in life? Is it like a second chapter? What is this? It's like amazing.
It's so much more than that because like here I'm just the luckiest guy because I suffer from alcoholism and addiction.
You should be
like,
dead.
just
You should be dead.
Like things where I left off with drugs and alcohol. It was so stark. It was just so black and white, so terrible that I just couldn't. It had to stop. I couldn't carry on that way.
Yeah.
And it was so like urgent that I address those issues and really get serious about recovery. And as a result, I'm the luckiest guy because I've got 11 years under my belt where I've not been like wasting my time getting loaded, like distracted. You know, I've been coherent. I've been like focused largely on things that I deliberately intend to be focused on. I've been super productive and
You're thriving. You're not just surviving. You're
so
thriving.
thriving.
Yeah.
And like to me, the worst thing would be to have alcoholism / addiction just bad enough that it can interfere with my ambitions, waste all my time, screw up my relationships, you know, but not so bad that it really has to urgently stop. So it can just carry on and on forever as years turn into decades, you know?
Yeah,
How many people do I know whose lives
They could be
just,
so much more, but it's just held back.
The years are slipping through their fingers with they're just not doing anything, you know, not getting anything done.
Can Steve-O in studio, can we talk about Bam?
Sure.
How's he coming along?
What's up with
'Cause
him?
we follow his Instagram is not great sometimes.
It's not great.
Ain't
It's
great,
really a
man.
bummer, man. It's an understatement to say that it's not great. And I want to say that I believe that he's really turning it around. I've heard, you know, he was in treatment for like the 7th time in rehab, and every time that he's been in rehab, he's talking about how like he doesn't belong in there. And I want to just shake him and say, dude, as a rule of thumb, nobody ends up in rehab by mistake.
Yeah.
Damn well not 6, 7 times. And you know, it's the people in rehab who don't think they belong in there who have the hardest road ahead.
Can I take a guess as to some of his issues aside from chemically?
CTE?
Getting to the, that might be something, he banged his head enough, but getting to the Instagram, obviously fame can be addictive.
Oh, of course,
Social media has made us all miniaturely famous, but it's the people around him that are shooting those videos.
People,
He's very rarely doing like a selfie bit. There's some
2 or 3 dudes
hanger
always with
on
him, yeah.
that is enabling this dude that I can only assume when you got sober, and I'm just filling in blanks here and tell me if I'm right or wrong. There were some people you unfortunately just had to cut off. That's it. We can't be around each other anymore. I feel like he's got them around him still.
There's a lot of that. There's a lot of that, and he lives in Westchester, Pennsylvania. It's a suburb of Philadelphia, where he's like the quintessential large fish in the small pond.
Right.
And you know, he's like kind of the king of his castle, like very literally. Like he lives in this like castle Bam. And I think
Castle
it's just,
Bam's sad these days, man.
it's pretty lopsided, like the identity of you know, some of the public personality. You know, like for me, it's so difficult to be kind of right sized in this like persona, because in one sense it's been damn near a decade since there's any like real mainstream commercial success. So like I could walk through an airport and have, you know, one person say, dude, where you been, man? I haven't seen you in anything for like, you know,
And forever.
like you know, like you're done. Like whatever happened to you?
But meanwhile, you're
then the
living a
next person I talk to is
Yeah.
like, dude, I see everything that, you know,
All 10 of
you're
your
doing, I'm
projects,
loving
yeah.
it. Like,
And you know that you're living a super full life.
yeah, it's just impossible to like, you know, like it's impossible to have like a healthy approach to it. And so I think for me, like recovery, like, you know, being healthy is largely dependent on finding separation between like who I am and this persona of Steve-O.
You know who else from your crew, and there's a local documentary crew doing something about him, What's Up, Jason Chapman in Charm City, is Brandon Novak. He was in studio with us a couple of years ago, and my buddy Chappie's putting together a documentary about him and talk about a guy that was part of that crew. Dude, his stories were nightmare-inducing as far as like tricking, living in bombed-out homes, falling into 2-foot deep fetid water basements looking for his fix, to now this guy's got like interventionist certification. He's got clinical certification. The guy is, to your degree, living this amazing life. So you see that Jackass crew. You see Knoxville's fine. Steve-O, who's in front of us, is looking great. Pontius is forever weird, but he's a great guy. Tremaine's still making movies. Bam seems to be that missing piece that once he snaps into place, it feels like everything's going to be right with the world to the fans of Jackass.
That would be great.
If he snaps into place, man.
And Wee Man has become this restaurateur.
Really?
Good for him.
Like if there was a conspicuous.
Oh, he's got the taco thing going, right?
Yeah. In the last movie, essentially launched his restaurant empire with when they splattered across the screen the logo for his Wee Man's Chronic Tacos.
Yes.
And like that Chronic Tacos chain has ballooned into like a 50+ franchise enterprise.
How do you feel like Steve-O? And not even physical. I mean, we know everything you've put your body through, but just top to bottom, top of the head to the toes, inside your head, every day. How do you feel? Is it like, do you feel your age? Do you feel younger? Do you feel great? Are you happy? Are you sad? Are you at peace? Are you?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much in there. I think physically, I've been very fortunate to. Largely get away with all of my injuries. I've, really no permanent damage to speak of outside of like awful tattoos and crappy fake teeth. I'm really in pretty good physical condition. I would think that like my take on the question, are you happy? Are you sad? I think that there's a weird dynamic, and I think that the Buddhist philosophy kind of gets to it, that no matter what the stimulus, the human mind is always going to respond with craving. So nothing's ever enough. No matter if you have money, you need more. Like if there's just this built-in like discontent.
So how do you deal with that nowadays?
I look back, to before all the Jackass, like before I was in the circus, and I had literally nothing. I just had nothing. But I had all of this like intense belief that the world was going to discover at some point that I was rad and everything was going to be great. And so I had just nothing whatsoever, but I was so filled with hope and drive. And I look back on those days, and I really believe that I was arguably happier, than I am now. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, why would I be, why would I have like anxiety? Why would I have like discontent? Why would I feel like stressed out or fearful? Like when, I'm doing really well for myself. Like I look at my life and it's I'm in a really good position. I have a great healthy relationship that I worked really hard on. I've got a fiance, and we've. And I don't know. I just think that it's just the human condition. And I said this in in this book I put out, where like I think that you could boil it down to the guy who has nothing only has to worry about his next meal. It's pretty manageable.
Damn, that is the Buddhist.
The guy who's got it all has to worry about his last meal, and that's like a pretty scary concept, to think like. If it's just bite size and you're in the moment and it's like, what am I going to do next? Everything's cool. But once you've like kind of put it together and you're like, oh, okay, like, how's this going to last me in my life?
This is the best Steve-O I think there's ever been. This is the best Steve-O that we've ever had.
And I think it's helpful to, it's helpful to even like kind of say it out loud because it all sounds so silly. But I think that
more money, more problems.
It's,
That's
I
what,
mean,
that's what Biggie Smalls said.
and I'm embarrassed to admit that that's the case, but I would just, I'd be hard pressed to lie about it. I think honesty is the best policy.
There are lots of ways to listen to 98 Rock every day. 97.9 FM, streaming live on 98online.com. The 98 Rock smartphone app on iPhone and Android, and on your Amazon Alexa and Google Home. Make sure to follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/98online.